What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on Peg City Hockey, and we're going to skip the intro today because I don't feel like doing one. Don't gotta worry, I know it's a rant video, but I'm not going to be screaming in this one because it's not a rant like I'm angry, because you've already read the title, you know what's happened, you've seen the news because it happened a day before. I wanted a day to just think about this and, let it sit with me and not just make some reactionary video, because I've done that with Ville 3 or 4 times now, and at this point, it's not on Ville anymore. And that's why I want to talk about this video, and that's why you don't see a bunch of players like Logan Stanley in the thumbnail or Brendan Dillon or anything like that. This isn't a video about, guys being better than anyone else. This is about management, and not even really Rick Bowness. I'm talking about solely Cheveldayoff. This problem and predicament the Jets find themselves in right now with their defensive core and their lines and the players they're choosing to use, it's not coaching anymore. It's not. And you can say whatever you want about how you feel about Logan Stanley and his play, or whatever you want to think about him. I don't care. I'm not a big Logan Stanley fan. If you are, good for you. You see something that I don't, and credit to you. Whether or not I agree with it or not, I don't care. So it's not me coming from the point that I think Ville Heinola is some superstar, because I think Ville Heinola is a prime example of what happens when a GM forgets the identity of the team that he has built. The Winnipeg Jets are draft and development. They had been their entire existence post-relocation from Atlanta. That was their entire identity. And you look at the players on this club now, you look at the guys that have wore A's for this team, and they're all guys, other than minus Andrew Ladd, Bufflin, and Wheeler, that have, and I guess Tobias Enstrom as well to some extent, they've been drafted by this team. This team has been built from the picks on draft day, through the AHL and the Moose, to the Jets on opening night rosters. And at this point in time, the last couple seasons, as we've known, the Jets have forgotten about that. They've, been winning. So they go out and they spend at the deadline. They acquire talent. They send out some younger guys. But now, when you're at this changing of the guard position in time, where you want to be able to stay competitive with what you have, but also have this new generation of Jets coming up to carry you when it's time to officially pass the torch, and you can't do it now because your lineup is full of guys that don't need to be here. And it's not because they're bad players. It's because they don't need to be here. You do not need a Brendan Dillon on your blue line. Brendan Dillon provides nothing compared to what you would get from other guys already on this team. What? His size? His penalty killing? Neil Pionk is a good... I see the arguments with Neil Pionk and Josh Morrissey and how you just have these guys that just, these are the guys that put up points. They're not going to play in the power play, the penalty kill. And even then, you're forgetting Neil Pionk has spent time on the penalty kill. All the guys on the defense right now have played a dynamic style of defense in the past couple of years, and they've all had their share of playing to their disadvantages. The only way you can get better as a younger player is putting yourself in a situation where you could fail, but you need to rise above it and succeed. And that's what Ville Heinola needs to do right now. And I really, truly believe that Rick Bowness and the coaching staff want to give him that opportunity. And it comes nothing to do with the fact that the guys ahead of him are any better, or anything like that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's right now, they're looking at it, okay, what's better for Ville Heinola? Should he be playing on the third pairing in a shutdown role so that he's not good at, because he's not that good and he needs to grow at that. But at the same time, how much can you grow playing like 8 minutes a night with a pair that doesn't really work for them? And that's why guys like Capobianco made this team. Capobianco is not going to play. You know what Capobianco is going to do? He's going to sit in the press box in a suit every night. And that's not a knock on Capobianco. That's the reality of the situation. Do you know what Dylan Sandberg's probably going to do? Split time and sit in the press box with Logan Stanley. And just how Logan Stanley will get some time there, or whoever earns that spot. But the point being is that Ville Heinola, at this point, because of the skill on this team already, and the guys that play the exact type of game that he does, probably just as well, honestly, they're already on this team making millions of dollars. You can't do anything about that. You can't waive a Brendan Dillon. This comes back to the fact that we had a quiet offseason, and Chevy didn't make the trades to make this team better. And we're not talking about going out and making big splashes at free agency and making big fancy trades, moving out Blake Wheeler, Pierre Dubois to the Habs, and all that other crap we thought might happen a few months ago. I'm talking about making room for the guys you've already drafted into your system that you expect to play at some point, because why else would you take them in the first round? It's as simple as that. The Winnipeg Jets at this point refuse to trade guys and admit the fact that they've made a mistake. They bought defense at the wrong time. You should have bought defense a couple years ago, but you waited too long, and now you have a cabinet of defensive prospects ready to play in the NHL. And for prime examples, Jonathan Kovacevic, a guy you just signed to a 3-year deal, you waived because you had no spots for him, and you're kind of screwed right now. You don't know what to do with how many guys you have. Bye-bye to the Habs. Now, was Kovacevic going to change this team's identity overnight? Absolutely not. But young defensive depth is a very valuable thing to have in the NHL. And the Jets just lost it for absolutely nothing. The problem comes down to the fact that you need to trade some guy on that top four. I don't care really who it is, minus Josh Morrissey, obviously, because he's the best defenseman that we have as of now, in my opinion. I really think Brendan Dillon's the guy out, and you look at teams right now. Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts, just like today, if I'm not mistaken, or yesterday, was talking about how Ottawa is in need for a defenseman. There are teams looking to add to their teams right now. They've seen what preseason's offer. They see what guys can play where, and they need to see upgrades. Some teams already need to upgrade. They're smart like that. Their GMs want to go on the hunt and find talent. Now's the time to be looking. We need to face the fact that we're probably going to lose the return on Brendan Dillon. We played 2 second-round picks for this guy. 2 of them. We already lost one in last year's draft. Next one's coming up. I believe it's this year. It might not be. But either way, still 2 unprotected second-round picks. We're not going to get that back for him. Not unless we wait until the deadline and do some really weird thing where we get a second and maybe an unconditional second or something like that, or a decent prospect. I don't know. But the point is it really worth waiting all the way until the deadline to finally give Ville Heinola a potentially full-time spot on this team? No, it's not. Dylan Samberg and Ville Heinola should be on this club right now, because the only way these guys can get better and work on their games and have problems is playing in the NHL. If you're a master of the AHL, how can you get any better down there and apply that to the NHL when it's a different league and you've already learned it? Ville Heinola has succeeded everywhere. I've said that in every video I've ever made about him. He's been good on every level of professional hockey he's played, and he killed the preseason, and everyone knows it. Yet we have to sit here and still have this conversation because management refuses to look at the fact that they've made mistakes, they've acquired talent when they necessarily maybe didn't need to, and now they don't want to admit they're wrong, and they're holding on to these guys for dear life. I even think an example of that would be Mason Appleton. Mason Appleton was invisible out there during preseason. I know he was injured a little bit, but still, he didn't do anything out there. Everyone else out there was making more of an impact. A guy like Saku Manalainen, who no one thought was going to make this team, comes in and kicks off Harkins, a guy that's been on this club for 3 years now. Because that's the identity of the club that Bonus wants. So you know that guys can get kicked off the team. It doesn't matter about how long you've been here. It's about where you can play. But because of contracts like given out to Appleton, like the contract that that all these guys have already, millions of dollar deals that we acquired in those trades, we can't just move on from them overnight. And that leaves the Jets at a very, very bad disadvantage. You need to get these young guys in playing. Now, I'm not saying the Jets are going to be worse for wear over time. This isn't me saying the Jets are going to suck because Ville Heinola isn't in. That's not what I think about this at all. I don't think Ville Heinola is going to make or break the entire Jets season. I think it's going to help you in a lot of different ways, but having him in or out, at the end of the day, I don't think it makes a difference in the playoffs as of now unless he turns into some superstar. What this does is just impede the future. If Ville Heinola is not going to be on this team now, when? All these guys still have term left. Oh, what? They're more desirable to move then? It doesn't matter. You're killing another year of development from these guys. Samberg should be in full time. Ville Heinola should be in full time. You shouldn't have to pick between those two, especially on the preseason that they had. Logan Stanley was terrible in camp, and he was terrible in preseason. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. You can have a different one. You don't need him. He's not this tough, brooding guy. I don't know where this came from. I guess the fact that he's just big, but he's a soft guy. He doesn't hit a lot. He doesn't really have a good forecheck either. He doesn't have a good back check. He can't skate very well, and he constantly, every single time he winds up, misses the net. What is the value you see in Logan Stanley? That is the only guy on the entire defensive core. If you wanted to say, oh, Ville should have made it over him. Yeah, you're right. But again, Ville Heinola playing shit minutes like Logan Stanley's going to be playing, or Ville Heinola on the Moose. I don't know about that one. That's a tougher argument. I guess I'd take first pairing Heinola on the Moose and 8 minutes a night or 12 minutes a night on the blue line with who knows who, I guess. But I don't know. That's what it comes down to, though. And, I'm getting a little off topic. What it comes down to is the fact that no matter how you want to look at it, no matter what angle you want, blame doesn't fall on coaching this time around. It's very different. And it doesn't fall on Heinola either, and it doesn't fall on guys earning spots that Ville should have had. Because, again, ask yourself, Will Ville really thrive in a shit spot like Logan Stanley's going to be in anyway? No. Logan Stanley shouldn't even be in my opinion. It should be Capobianco. And the fact that Sandberg's probably going to sit too and Stanley will get some games probably based on what we've seen in the past and in lineups and practices, that upsets me. But at the same time, with how good Ville Heinola was, he should have a much bigger role than 8 to 12 minutes a night. And that's where the real problem starts. The fact that the only spot they had for this guy was a shit spot that doesn't fit his game is the problem. That is what this harkens back to, is the fact that you need to make room for the young talent and not just be stuck on the past and thinking that your vision from a year ago is going to work with the core you have today. Because that's not how sports work, and it's definitely not how hockey works. So I think I'm going to end myself there. I think I've said my piece. I guess this is going to be kind of my thoughts going into training camp. I already dropped my lineup prediction video, and that's basically how I still feel today about how I want the lineups to be structured and what my preview of the season is going to look like, in my opinion. I'm very excited to see coaching. I'm very excited to see how things are going to change and what will suck and what will be good. I don't know, and I've got no expectations, and neither should you. Enjoy Jets hockey for what it is. Hockey. If you're a hockey fan, that's all it is this season. There's no expectations, and I, for one, am pretty happy about that because last year sucked. But nonetheless, Ville Heinola, I'm sorry that you're down in the AHL right now, but you will get your opportunity because Chevy will have to make a trade. He has no choice at this point. You need to move out Dylan DeMello, Brendan Dillon, I don't know, Neil Pionk, someone. You need to move out someone from that top four because obviously that's not the long-term option when you've got these young guys that are honestly playing just as good as some of these guys like Neil Pionk and stuff like that based on last year and the preseason. So that's my hot take for today. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. As always, if this is your first time listening to my channel, definitely go and drop a like and subscribe regardless of the team that you root for. I always say it's good to learn perspective from all the teams in the league from time to time. Just pop it in. If the Jets play your team and you want to hear a Jets fan song the game, completely biased, I'm here for that all the time, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. Peace and positivity as always. Check out all the affiliated links down in the description below. Have a great rest of your day. Go Jets, go. And shovel the day off. Give your head a shake because you really messed up on this offseason by not making room for your future superstar defenseman.